Well, I am down here again, playing with some more unusual stuff because Bryant sent another shipment of oddities, which actually kind of further complicates my decision on what to carry. I'd kind of settled on just making a point of bringing the 45, partly because of the way the holster is. I don't have to worry, you can see the gun. And it's a good gun, just for what I need. It's generally overkill, because normally I'm dealing with things like diseased coons or skunks or a deer that's been hit by a car. I don't really need a 45 for that. But, like I say, there's advantages to carrying it, and at least 45 I have a lot of brass and I can pound them shells out pretty quickly. But he kind of threw a monkey wrench into the works here now because he came up with some other ammunition that complicates things. I actually was in town the other day and I was trying to see if I could find some of the Silver Bear Makarov, which is the hollow point. Now this is 9mm Luger that he sent. And it's that zinc cased. But now this, like I say, the 9mm, he mentioned in a note that he didn't particularly care for it because it didn't expand. And I guess really that didn't expand much when I used it in a Makarov either, because I was testing it in phone books, and though it's a very powerful round, I couldn't get together enough phone books to stop it. It never expanded in the phone book. It made a hole like a laser went through. There was no ragged edges or anything, just boom, went through. Every time I'd pile more phone books on it, it'd just go through. But he also sent some of this Wolf 9mm, and it says polyformance. Now, I don't quite know what that is, but it's full metal jacket, steel case. I don't know if it's coated with poly, is that why they're using that term? But one of them boxes took a little bit of a beating in the shipping, but that's a good option in that it's kind of throwaway, because I can't reload it. But this might be usable stuff. Another that he sent was this. Now I'll bring a box up so you can see what it says, or find one that says the clearest. Okay. 25 cartuchos. Well, okay, so I'm thinking Spanish, and it says Pistola Parabellum, and there's a 9 up here. But there's a subfusel, and there's something about Schmeiser. But it's from 1952. Now, first thought was that these were 9mm Parabellum, but they're 9mm Luger. But you look at them, the case is the same length, but the bullet is considerably further out. So I don't know, I'll have to look into this some. It's to the point where you can't actually load them. They won't physically fit in the mag. And I'm sure you would never be able to chamber one. I didn't try it, but I'm sure you'd hit the right one right away. So, I know they made a 9mm Largo, and that was a Spanish thing. So that might be what these are, but that's a little bit of a puzzler. I'll have to look into some. And, okay, this he had sent before, the Chinese Tokra that I've been shooting. And that stuff's pretty good. Pretty impressive. It's like 1,450 feet per second up to 1,500. You know, full metal jacket and cases I don't have to worry about. You know, so that was an option. But it really sent more of that, but also some of the PPU, which there I have to keep track of because I use that brass. But from here on, this is all the Chinese stuff. And then another whole box of the PPU Tokarev. Okay, but now this is different. I should have looked at this. This appears to be hollow points. Yeah. Holy smokes. No, that's interesting. Because I don't think the other ones are hollow point. No, see, that's what I normally get. The PPU, I didn't actually know they made the hollow points. But I can't imagine the devastation, you know, because they really truck along. And at that velocity, you're going to get a lot of expansion. That's just going to blow up. That's interesting. Make me think some more on that. But this I'm going to have to check into because I think it might be that Largo though. But he also sent a pile of this, which turns out to be Chinese military spec ammo for the macro. You know, the 9x18. And I have been playing with those. And they're good. And they work very well in my macro. Well, what I got in there, I think it's 5. No, full mag, 7. You know, my mags hold 7. I've been through that before. Well, and they're accurate, and they got a lot of snap to them. I'm going to have to run them over the chronograph one time just to see, but you know, you can feel it. They get a pretty good bump to them. And I kind of like that they're in these little boxes that hold 16, you know, so you can carry both mags full and one little box to spare. So that's kind of an interesting option. Yeah, 16. Yeah, there's a possibility there. You know, like I say, I like the macro, but I carried it for a long time. You know, it's a handy little gun, and it's plenty big for what I need. So there's that possibility. But, you know, like I say, this stuff I got to check into. The macro was fine. You know, he sent a whole bunch of 22 again. And included it, he comes up with these oddball ones. You know, like this is a box of some special edition from somebody I have no idea who it is. You know, the name is not familiar to me at all. But there's 300 rounds in an odd container of hollow point mini mags. So, you know, that's a lot of shooting. Just an odd container. And CCI quiet segmented hollow points. Now, I can't quite figure out what the segmented portion of this is because it looks like a normal hollow point to me. You know, it almost sounded like it would, you know, open up, but it really looks like a... Well, the only difference I see, it looks like it's a shallower hollow point, but then it almost looks like there's something in there like a poly of some kind. Well, and there's kind of little cuts in the hollow point. It could be that it's made to fold out like a pedal kind of thing. You know, it's just different. But those are the 22 quiet. And I know they aren't powerful enough to run, you know, the quiet won't run the action on my 22 automatic on that Walther Colt. Nor will these, which are some birdshot 22. And these are some more quiet that are just a lead round nose, and they won't run the action. So they're fine in lever actions and anything else, but they won't run it in the automatic. Veloster 22s, they work fine. I don't remember now if those are hollow point. Yeah, they're hollow point. So I don't know what the difference between, because these really look a lot like those segmented hollow point quiets. You know, it surprises me that when you can't find 22, you would think the CCI would make an effort of just putting out a pile of mini mags, you know, because that's really what people are looking for, instead of going into all these oddball ones. And speaking of oddball, these are short range green. It's a lead-free hollow point, but the velocity is 1,650 feet per second. A 21 grain bullet that actually really appears to be a plastic, though it might have some kind of metal, other metal mixed into it. You know, like copper or something mixed in the plastic, like a powdered copper. I don't know, because you know, you'd think 21 grains, how did they get that? And they are powerful enough that they will work the action on this automatic, which is nice. And they're surprisingly accurate. You know, I'm shooting, well, it's got to be 20 yards at some tin cans, and it hits right where you point it. Though it says short range, but they'd probably be nice for like an indoor range. Well, probably that's what they were probably designed for, being lead free. But it's nice that they'll work the action on an automatic. I'm gonna have to read up on them, kind of. Well, he said some more Aguila Super Extra 40 grain. You know, it's funny. You know, I mentioned the one day that Aguila makes the old Winchester self-loading 22 ammunition. When I was in town the other day, I happened to stop in at Gander Mountain, and here they had the newer version of that 22 self-loader that uses the standard regular 22 long rifle. But, you know, I know they made them in the 60s or something. I think, I can't remember what the model number is called. Could be like a 66 or something. But anyway, this thing wasn't from that time period. This thing was new. Unfortunately, somebody had banged it and chipped off a corner of the stock. But it was one of the Japanese-made Winchesters, and I didn't know that they were making those 22 self-loaders. Looked well made, other than that broken stock, which might be an indication that maybe the wood is a little subpar, or maybe the metal on the butt plate was too thin, or, you know, because it's just odd in the handling. It was a new gun, but in the handling it had broken a little toe off the stock. And unfortunately, I don't think they even had the toe. You know, otherwise you could at least try to repair it. But to find a replacement stock would be too expensive. Plus, now the real shocker is they wanted $999 for this gun, which was damaged. You know, that's a heck of a lot of money for, you know, something. You know, I'd be willing to pay for the regular old self-loader. I might go like a couple $100, but not for the new Japanese-made one. Though nice gun, really long gun, I didn't think the originals were that long, but I got to play and sort a little more. But I do like that macro of ammunition. This is a bit of a puzzler though. And I'm going to have to play with this wolf stuff because now with 3 boxes of that, and then the silver bear too, all with disposable brass, that might be the answer is to use that 9mm. And he also sent 3 boxes of the Mosin, steel case, silver tip stuff. I think he sent some of that before. He's got that bar, I can't remember what, well it says end on it. Can't remember what the theory behind that was, but yeah, and he sent a box of J.C. Higgins extra range rifle shotgun slugs, 12 gauge. Kind of cool, you know. It says Sears and Roebuck on it. Clean bore. Oh, okay. It says J.C. Higgins on it. Okay, these must be the J.C. Higgins ones. Yeah, these are J.C. Higgins. These are Remington. These green ones. So she's a mixed box. My God, these are the old paper shell even. Yeah, these are cool. But I won't shoot those up. You know, I could buy the new military grade slugs if I decide to shoot slugs, but I'm not much for slugs. But these are just cool. The box is cool. And I see on the box, it's marked 94 cents. So I can't make out the date. But they've been around a while. Well, on the tag here it says 56, so that could be the date. Because they haven't been called Sears and Roebuck for a long time. Yeah, they're cool though. But like I said, I won't shoot those up. But this gives me a lot of stuff to monkey with. I'm going to actually have to try run these over the chronograph, these Tokarev ones, and see what kind of speed these are. The the PPU stuff compared to this Chinese stuff, because I know they really rip. But those hollow point Tokarev ones kind of interest me. Well, it's a lot of curiosities. But this is the big puzzler in the bunch. Because, I know they made, the Spanish had some 9mm Largo. And that could be what these are made for. Because like I say, they actually won't, they're too long to actually even fit in the mag. They'll catch on the front of the mag, they're that much longer. So they aren't a regular 9mm Luger, although it does say Parabellum on them. But I don't know where it says that Schmeiser thing. That puzzles me. Unless they're made for some kind of submachine gun that shot a 9mm. But I imagine somebody will know, or I can look it up. I was curious to shoot one because this appears to be brass, although quite old. And that doesn't look like a Berdan primer. So they might be reloadable as 9mm. But we'll see. But I got a lot of playing around to do yet. But this I find interesting too, that Tokarev with the hollow points. I got to fire one of them into a sandbank and see what they do, but I can't imagine. They must just explode at that speed. But I know on the last video I did when I was down here doing this sort of thing, I didn't have the comments open on it, and I do that a lot of times, or quite a few times, and I always get people, oh, how come no comments? Well, sometimes I really don't need a comment. You know, I don't welcome a comment, and in a way, a lot of times comments are rather interruptive. You know, I always find if I put up a video, well, then I'm going to start getting 25, 30 emails, and then the way my phone is set up, every one of them comes in. So all during the day, I get this, announcement on the phone that there's an email, and then YouTube is in the habit of doing double notifications, so there's twice as many as there is comments. And if it's not something that really needs a comment, it's just a waste of my time because I have to look at it because it might be something that matters. But of course, most of the comments don't matter. Most comments are sort of nonsense. I would be interested if somebody is actually familiar with these. There, I could use a comment, so I'll leave the comments open on this. But a lot of times, comments are rather pointless. And sometimes if the comments are open, it just leads to weirdness, because I know I had a comment the other day from somebody on I think it was a video where I was cooking. And they said that you must be, or you sound like you're a Jew hater and a Hillary supporter, which I thought was really bizarre. I'm not really sure if he's saying I'm a Jew who hates, or I hate Jews, and to come up with this idea, this conclusion that I'm a Hillary supporter, I can't imagine where he come up with that. But it's, it's just bizarre. Some people, but it's not that way on any video. If you go and look at any video on almost anything, there's these comments in there from people who are just really nuts. It just surprises me. So sometimes it's just a lot easier to just close the comments unless there's a purpose to them. And like I say, this time, okay, fine, there's a purpose. I'd like to know if somebody's familiar with those cartridges, but I'm probably going to do that a lot more often. Just leave the comments closed, because they really, for the most part, don't serve any real purpose. I know years ago I heard this, well, YouTube is good, but just don't read the comments, which is very true. Comments can be helpful, but the percentage of helpful comments where you actually learn something in the comments is so small compared to the rest that are just ramblings, and bizarre spellings and word choices. It's just weirdness. So you'll probably see a lot more of that where I just don't have them in there at all. Now this is interesting. I had shot one of these, well, a couple of these bird shot, and I know the one failed to eject. They wouldn't cycle the automatic in the first place. I had to cycle them by hand. But one failed to eject, and now looking at it, there's actually a split in the case on the one that didn't eject. And I suspect, these are aluminum case. Doesn't say that on there, but you can feel by the weight. There's nothing there, it's aluminum. That would be good. People used to use this sort of thing for shooting sparrows in barns because you don't blow through the roof. But, I always heard birdshot was tough on rifling, but now this is where it's encapsulated in a plastic sleeve, so it won't work for that. But I usually don't have the ambition to go shooting sparrows in a barn. There's going to be more of them. You can't buy enough ammunition to keep birds out of barns.